Can you write a full song using just one riff entirely? Just one riff for the entire song? I forced myself to do it and it completely changed the way I write music. In this video I'll break down the exact framework I used, from simple variations to advanced theory concepts, all with examples and tabs. At the end you'll hear the finished metal song with solo, chugs and 7 song parts built from one single riff. Master this and you'll know how to turn any riff into a complete metal song. Let's go! Here's the initial riff, later we will develop it into a full song. It lasts for 2 bars, so I repeat it twice, creating a simple A-B-A-B structure. This is already a repeat-friendly fragment, so our next goal is to make it more versatile. The first step is a secret to fast composing. We try the riff with different drum patterns. This is important because drums shape the performance of the entire riff more than any other instrument. The same riff can sound absolutely different with a new drum line, and that's how you can get a new song part almost for free. Of course, it's impossible to try all drum lines in the world. There are millions of them. That's why I divide them into 3 simple groups to complete the step faster. Basic, blast beats and special. The first basic group are regular metal patterns, usually with 16th kick and some snare variations. These create a moderate energy level and usually works well for verses. One song can have multiple drum patterns. It sounds even more interesting. I choose these 2 options. Later I will modify them and add fills, but much later. On this step the basic patterns are enough. The second group are blast beats. They all have specific names and a bit different structure. Here I have a few different options. These patterns create maximum intensity, making them perfect for drops and pre-choruses. This will sound very brutal, but if you use them too much, the song will turn boring. That's why you need some patterns which I call special. Special because they all have specific functions to be used for breakdowns, build-ups and transitions. These drum lines have a more complicated or more simplified structure. Let's start with the basic composing tricks. These require no music theory knowledge at all, just practical moves that can easily turn one riff into real song sections. A super cool trick is octave switching. It looks very professional and is commonly used in technical death metal. The idea is to play the same melody 1 octave higher and move it up across the fretboard, like this. It's very good for transition and mostly for the transition into a solo. To play this, you need to understand where the same note groups are positioned across the fretboard. It's much easier than it seems, but looks and sounds absolutely great. Another valuable trick is accenting. The idea is to place the accent on the notes you want to highlight in your line. So many cool intros were made like this. That's how I want to create my intro for my song. The accents are reinforced by the drums and the second guitar. The next great technique is looping. Just select any fragment of your riff and let it repeat. I recommend you to experiment with some offbeat ideas. These can generate unpredictably interesting variations. More frequent repeats create stronger tension, which is why this technique works so well for choruses. That's how I build my chorus. I repeat this fragment twice on a higher string. Let's dive into advanced composing techniques. They need a bit of theory, but I'll explain everything in a way any beginner can use. This will completely change your approach to composing. To understand advanced things, you need to learn a very fundamental composing principle. As long as you play the same anchoring notes over the same chord progression, you're essentially playing the same musical idea. Everything else is secondary. As a music writer, your job is to modify the secondary parameters to create a new performance of your core musical idea. And this requires a serious mental shift. You need to stop focusing on writing a riff after riff. Instead, you need to start modifying the structure of the music itself, and this is the way to a pro-level metal composing. Let's start from a truly cool example. The first parameter I want to modify is a musical texture. Take a look, I play the same notes on the same anchoring spots over the same chord progression. But instead of using tremolo picking, I use separate unmuted notes. In simple words, I have just switched a guitar technique, but musically I'm still playing the same riff idea. A great example of how you can create a new guitar line by changing just one musical parameter. Another professional thing you can use are compound intervals. They sound very dark and brutal. The idea is to take any interval, I use an octave, and shift the higher note one more octave higher, like this. Try multiple notes in this area, that's what we need. Now let's come back to our initial riff and its harmony. I'm still playing over the same chord progression. All of these intervals are parts of the underlying chords. That's how the full line may sound. That's how we still play the same musical theme, but in a different way. After all these complex composing concepts, I want to remind you about the simplification, which is one of the most powerful techniques. Complexity doesn't make your music better, it often does the opposite. In reality, the simpler your music, the more people will love it. This is exactly how I'm going to write the pre-chorus. I want to simplify the initial riff and to leave only the strong beat notes. I use the same simplification technique to write a brutal chucks drop. Take a look, I use the same notes on the same spots over the same chord progression. But instead of tremolo picking, I play this riff in chucks. It's still the same musical idea, but performed in a different way. Here's a secret most guitarists miss. Your riff already contains a solo. Let me show you two techniques to unlock it. Technique number one is sequences. I will take the looping fragment from the chorus part, play it on high string and in a more melodic way. That's exactly what we need for the solo beginning. The idea of sequences is to play the same fragment using the different notes, but keeping its initial structure. That's how I write the entire solo phrase. The second concept I'm using for solo is arpeggio. This is used for sweep picking. The idea of arpeggio is simple, to play the notes of a chord separately. It's not an independent melody, it's just a way of playing a full chord one note at a time. I take the chorus chord progression and play it as 7th chords. These notes make up my sweep picking pattern. Other parts in my solo are the connections and the Floyd Rose tricks. The goal is to write two musical phrases that match the general idea while staying fresh and not generic. Alright, it's time to hear the final result. This track has 7 different sections all developed from just one riff. In the next video, I'll show you the next step, how to combine multiple riffs into a coherent metal song. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Let's hear it.